Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from Worldcast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole weekend fly fishing forecast for the weekend of July 17th and 18th. July is halfway over. I know, it seems crazy, but what in the past 2 years hasn't been crazy? Between a pandemic, between the drought that we're in, between the extreme temperatures that the Pacific Northwest and the Rocky Mountain West has been seeing these past couple days, you know what, a lot of these things don't even surprise me anymore that half of the month of July has flown by. I had some great fishing over the weekend and into the early this week. So this week I'm not fishing for my fishing forecast. I'm actually chilling on my back porch tonight and hanging out, catching up on some things at home because I burnt up all of some of my free time, you know, fishing there at the beginning of the week, and the fishing was good. Looking into Saturday and Sunday, once again, you're going to get sick of me saying this. It is going to be hot and it's going to be dry. We've got 84 and 52, partly cloudy, mostly sunny on Saturday, and into the low 90s there on Sunday with lots of sunshine. Nothing is really changing on our weather forecast, but those people that have been doing their rain dance and have been doing whatever juju that they can to get us some precipitation, it may be working. We've had our first days of precip coming up in our 8 day to 14 day forecast, where we're starting to see some of our high pressure break down and move a little bit more to the east, and we're going to start to see some monsoonal moisture coming up from the southwest, which is normal this time of year, a little bit more normal in August. But in our 8 to 14 day forecast, we're starting to see, you know, a 10 to 20% chance of precip there starting as early as maybe next Tuesday. Definitely into the 20s to 40% ranges there by next weekend. So fingers crossed that we start getting some of this monsoonal moisture and we start getting some rain. Fingers crossed that it doesn't come in dry thunderstorms that ignite more forest fires that we don't need right now. It's pretty smoky out here as is. It actually has gotten a little bit better through the past couple days with our change in our wind direction. But keep that in mind. If we can start getting some of that monsoonal moisture up here, things will get a little bit of a reprieve. It's better than nothing. It's not better than, you know, best, but it's something, so we'll take it. Jackson Lake, 75% of capacity, dropping 3.5 to 5 inches per day. Palisades Reservoir, 70% of capacity, it's dropping 12 to 24 inches per day. So you're looking at some areas of the Snake dropping Jackson Lake dropping half a foot a day, Palisades Reservoir dropping up to 2 feet a day. That's what's coming out. That's what we're seeing with these high flows coming out of Palisades Reservoir in the South Fork, out of the Snake there in Jackson from Jackson Lake Dam, and the Henry's Fork up around the Island Park area. It's bizarre. It's not something that we normally see. We saw it in 2016. We definitely saw it back, you know, sometime, I think it was 2006. Definitely 88 when you talk to the locals and the old timers around here. So it's something that we haven't really dealt with over the past couple years, but what we're seeing is some rivers full of water. They're high. Fishing isn't spectacular in certain places, and it's not like every other summer, but we still get to go fishing. They're not on hoot owl closures like some of the areas of Montana. We're not seeing water temps, you know, there in the high 60s, low 70s. South Fork's pretty cold, but it's got a lot of water in it, so it's something to keep in mind. Similarly with the Henry's Fork. South Fork of the Snake, we've got 16,200 CFS coming out of Palisades Reservoir, 16,200 CFS down around Heise. So any of that tributary influence and everything, it's staying the same, if not water managers, consumptive water users, irrigators, and agricultural individuals are sort of taking that water out of the river with dry beds, great feeder canal, things along those lines. I did an overnight on the South Fork on Sunday and Monday, and it was some of the best big bug fishing I have seen since I moved here in 2004. It was spectacular. We got so sick of the dropper that we just kept fishing the big dry. Tied into banks, did a lot of rowing, had to move the boat a lot. That 16,200 CFS is definitely pushing and moving things around, but the fishing is really good, and it's fishing in true South Fork fashion with high flows. We're not seeing some really great PMD riffle fishing because a lot of those riffles have a lot of water on them and they're moving really quick, but in those recircs, those eddies, some of those other areas, fish are eating PMDs, golden stones, yellow sallies, salmon flies, you name it, fishing's good. So anywhere South Fork top to bottom, I would suggest going there. I'd suggest big bug fishing, dry dropper fishing, streamer fishing with those high flows, any of that stuff has been really good. With those flows, be careful. A lot of these areas, these recircs, these seam lines, these boils, the stuff that the South Fork is known for with its volume, you can get in trouble really quickly. It usually happens when you're changing flies, when you're netting a fish, when you're doing something else, you're trying to grab the dog, you're helping some clients, or things along those lines. It's no fish is worth sinking your boat or getting injured or injuring other people. So just be careful out there. Word to the wise for all of our rivers in our area right now that are seeing these abnormal flows. I know it's strange. We're in a drought, but we've got flows that are higher than normal. That's all based on irrigation needs downstream of here around American Falls Reservoir. So once you get that sort of adjusted in your mind and start seeing some of these other opportunities that are opening up for this irrigation pulse, it's going to open up some great fishing opportunities for everyone. Expect those flows on the South Fork of the Snake to be high, and high above average through August, mid-August. Mid-September, water managers are calling Palisades Reservoir to be around 7% of capacity. The Snake, 5,190 CFS being discharged from Jackson Lake Dam, 7,120 CFS there in the canyon going into Palisades Reservoir before the salt and the grays. So there you go. You got 7,000 coming in. You got 16,200 coming out. Doesn't really equal on the math side of things. 7,120 CFS is great for whitewater rafting down there, but it can be a little bit challenging for fishing. Similarly, 5,190 CFS, Deadman's to Moose, Moose to Wilson, Wilson to South Park. Some of those other areas that are braided and real technical fishing has been causing some problems. Similarly, as I was saying on the South Fork, just be careful, be ready, take extra precautions in everything that you're doing. The Snake has been fishing really well. It's been fishing good with all angling methods, dry dropper fishing, a tractor, dry fly fishing, and some of those softer water types, recircs, eddies, seam lines, things like that. The riffle fishing really hasn't been that great. Similarly to the South Fork, there's just a lot of water in the system right now. Streamer fishing has been pretty good as it's been displacing a lot of food and getting a lot of those bigger fish to eat. But the Snake in general, it's clear, it's been fishing pretty darn well for having high flows, and I think we should continue to see its fishing consistency. We should gain consistency as the flows and everything sort of settle out and fish get adjusted to that. There's been some really weird stuff going on Deadman's to Moose, so definitely keep your eyes open for some of that stuff if you're going to be floating up there. Water managers are saying that Jackson Lake is going to be around 10% of capacity up there in mid-September, so similar to the South Fork, these reservoirs are going to get really low. Moose, on your watch your water temps. We saw some water temps hit 68 degrees yesterday afternoon at Moose. In the morning, first thing, 61 degrees. So think of that with what I've been preaching. Carry your thermometer, stick it in the water. If it's a baking thermometer, a meat thermometer, whatever type of thermometer you have, we stock them in the fly shop. Every fly shop in the area is stocking thermometers right now. You should have one and you should be using it. And if you start to see those water temps up 67 and above, it's up to you to make the decision. No one's going to come and tell you that you have to stop. But if you are an ethical angler and you want to do the best thing for your trout friends, I would probably stop fishing. But yesterday was the first day that we saw 68 at Moose. Jackson Lake and its discharge is not very deep like the South Fork. It's only like 40 to 60 feet or something like that. So early mornings on the Snake is going to be the place to be here from the rest of the summer. The Henry's Fork, 1,470 CFS there coming out of the box, 2,920 CFS there on the lower river. Similarly to the Snake and the South Fork, we're seeing a lot of water getting pumped through the Henry's Fork right now to get downstream for irrigators and consumptive water users. Normally, if you've been watching my fishing reports, July on the Henry's Fork, it's not really, how should I say it, prime time, especially on the lower river. The ranch, it's one of the small windows when it is open, but a lot of our angling focus starts shifting to the Snake, the Teton, the South Fork, and some of those other areas after a great late winter, spring, and early summer. Not this year. I just keep putting it on your radar. I add it, to your boxes of fishing options for the upcoming weekend and things to check out. The box is still fishing really well at 1,470 CFS. The turbidity that was coming out of the other side of Island Park Reservoir, not the electrical power plant discharge, has really subsided, and water clarity has been really great all the way down to Wood Road 16. So your dry dropper fishing with Goldens, big parachutes, Perdigons, Duracells, tactical tungsten jig, pheasant tails, any of that kind of stuff is going to be really good because the Island Park Reservoir is pumping out a lot of cold, clean water right now. So the box, normally when we would start pushing it to the side or the back burner, I would bring it straight to the front right now, especially if you're fishing on maybe the snake hasn't been that great, or you don't feel comfortable with 16,000 CFS on the South Fork. The box is a great option. The ranch, the past couple evenings, we've had some great reports: brown drake spinners, PMDs, caddis, the occasional Sally and whatnot here and there. It's definitely been a later in the evening game. There's a lot of water in the ranch right now, 1,470 CFS, which can cause some issues, but the ranch is open. You're probably going to get your butt kicked like I do every time I go up there, but it's still getting out there doing some technical dry fly fishing, and once in a while you'll get one, and you'll get a big one, and it's awesome. It's what the ranch is known for. So put that on the list if you're looking for some walk weight options, some technical dry fly fishing options. Warm River to Ashton, I'm going to throw that one back into the mix there on the box, with the box as well. We've had some great reports coming back there from the Warm River to Ashton. Dry dropper fishing, light nymph rigs, some attractor fishing with caddis, PMDs, small golden stones and Sallies and things like that has been really good. It's been sort of taking the place of the Teton up here, which I'm going to get to, that if you're looking for a really good mellow fishing option, that Warm River to Ashton area has been fishing good as well. The lower Henry's Fork, we've been seeing some PMDs, hoppers, terrestrials, and things like there, but it's on the watch your water temp list as well. You know, with that moose indicator, the lower Henry's Fork and most of the Teton area is definitely one to keep in mind for your water temps. The Teton, 217 CFS in Driggs, 714 CFS there on the lower river. In honesty, we've been moving a lot of trips from the Teton to some other places like Warm River to Ashton, the Snake, and some other things. The Teton's still fishing really good. I fished it a couple evenings ago. The PMD fishing is really good up here on the upper river before things sort of start to warm up. But if you're going to be on the Teton, be on there first thing, go early, be off early. So it should be a dawn or dusk fishing program, because we're starting to see some warmer water temps up around the Driggs area, and we've been seeing some really warmer water temps on the lower river. So we haven't really been sending a lot of people down there, or they've been moving, or those guys that have been fishing the canyon have been meeting at the shop at 5:30 or 6 a.m. and being done around noon. So that's something to keep in mind. You're off the beaten path fisheries, some of my most favorite fisheries of the summer in July and August. The Grays, it's got good, cold, clean water, great walk wade fishing opportunities for cutthroats, dry dropper fishing, you know, small streamer fishing, things along those lines. Snake River tribs are dropping into shape and offering some really good walkway DIY fishing. Palisades tribs, same thing. Yellowstone National Park, we just had the Yellowstone River open on July 15th. Golden Stones, Green Drakes, Yellow Sallies, PMDs, Caddis. I probably expect some crowds here with the Yellowstone River opening up. But there's a lot of other Yellowstone Lake tribs and some other things that you could poke around in that opened on July 15th too, and sort of get your walkway DIY things on. The northeast corner of Yellowstone National Park, Lamar, Slough Creek, Soda Butte Creek, Pebble Creek, any of those things are fishing really well. You know, a lot of our lakes and reservoirs, Jenny Lake, you know, Lee, String, you know, maybe Henry's Lake, they've been fishing pretty well. It seems like a little bit of that summer window, or the dog days of summer, have been sort of oppressive on some of those lakes. I probably would stay away from a lot of the lakes that are getting drawn on very heavily. Jackson, Palisades, Island Park Reservoir. Henry's Lake, you know, with the warmer water temps, I would expect all those fish to be hanging around creek mouths. I would expect all the anglers to be hanging around creek mouths. So if you do want to get some lake fishing in on Henry's Lake, I would go early and sort of beat the crowds. But Jenny Lake, Lee Lake, String Lake, some of those other ones can still offer some really good fishing, you know, during the summer. I definitely would go during the low light periods, early in the morning or later in the evening. That's all that we've got. We're still on full summer hours here at World Cast Anglers, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We've got everything you need. The boys are restocking the fly boxes and bins every day, ready for everyone to come in. If you need something, just ask. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend on the water out there, especially if you're on the Snake or the South Fork. Just be aware, watch your water temps, and we'll see you here next week.